Hey, the rulers DMO73 here, and we have a very fun match with some very old gloves. I am playing my new take on Lilias Petal, aka Nine-Tailed Fox, and I have Tyler Tompkins with his take on blue Sylvia. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now taking orders on our Q4 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen. Class is in session. So we are getting into it here. As you can see, the gloves are back. We are ready to go. Tyler is taking advantage of the fact that Sylvia is one of the few rulers that can pretty comfortably play a 3-color stone base with perfection, in the form of playing nothing but fire magic stones that have the blue red color combination, so that you can then have Sylvia give them green, which is very cool. And then I'm playing New Age Lilias Petal, which is making use of all of the wonderful resonators that we have for the sake of making chimeras, as well as some amazing tools to take advantage of the fact that Lilias Petal can't be destroyed once you flip. So we're going to go ahead and jump in here and see exactly how it goes. Now, you keep in mind, you do see that mask in the opener that Tyler's about to bring down here. We built this deck to be able to play through and play around mask, even if it makes us have a little bit of a difficulty getting to the chimeras. We certainly have ways to be able to make it there. Stone of Vaporization comes down for Tyler. We're going to see a turn 1 call stone, throw out an Academy City Gardening unit, see if we can ramp a stone into another killing stone. Down comes that Lorite. Again, Sylvia gets to make it so that we get green with the will there. So, and then we'll see if there's any kind of follow-up there. No, we're just going to see a pass. Move to recovery, keep calling stones. We do see our killing stone there. We'll go in for 4, see if we can get that damage. Tyler says, yes, that's fine. We take it. And then we are going to pass ourselves as well. Turn 3, we see another callstone pass from Tyler. Not a lot of action here. We certainly need another wind resonator to get things online. We certainly need to try to draw into some of our cards to be able to answer that mask. We certainly have those in the form of the breath spell, things like Spark of Life. We're also playing Suyas. Swing in for 4 with the gardening unit. Decides to finally block it with the Lorite. Call our 4th stone, and we're certainly going to potentially walk into an Electra here, although we have plenty of ways to be able to answer that in the form of like paying 2 for Persephone to put it back in his hand. Like, we have ways to be able to mess with it. And now that we're at 4 stones, we can cancel the automatic ability thanks to Witch of the Pointy Hat. So down comes a Fiola, gets cast here just to look into trying to block, saying, yeah, that's probably fine. We do end up paying for this to try to, after the damage is done, say, oh, let's get rid of that. Fiola actually, and I unfortunately again remember that we have to pay into mask here, using 1-hit KO anesthesia. Should pay 2, which would knock out the Fiola as well. This puts us in a little bit of a risky spot. If I had remembered the mask here, going for that 1-hit KO doesn't make a lot of sense, especially because there's probably potentially a Lorite, Persephone coming down here, and so if there is, or an Electra coming down here, so I'd want 4 will to be able to interact instead of 3 or 2 really. We're going to go ahead and once again pitch the Persephone to an activate ability. This would cost us 2. I was still in the mindset of thinking that I was playing Glorious. That's not how this works. We're trying to pay 2 to try to get that done. Lorite comes down here. We're going to go ahead and use Witch with a Pointy Hat to stop the Lorite. So all in all, I had the if I had done the high speed uppercut, remembered, I wouldn't have had the will to do both of those points of interaction, so it didn't really make much sense. Again, this is a big lesson. As we're getting used to this new format, you have to be considerate of mask as you play into it. Witch of the Pointy Hat, though, a great tool in this option to be able to stop the Lorite. It also is a great way to stop Electras, which is very helpful. We're going to go ahead and perform Judgment here. We get Lilias Petal live. This means that if we can find a Wind Resonator and we can, or a Darkness Resonator, and find a way to answer that mask, we could probably go in for a Griffin this turn to ramp our stone base up. We just need to find the Darkness creature. Unfortunately, not seeing much though, although you can see we have things like Absorbing Knowledge, which are really great to be able to answer it. Tyler just burning himself to death here with all these Stones of Vaporization, choosing to leave open the will. We see another Electra try to come down, comes down for 4. before. We're going to say the cast is fine, but in response to the enter effect, we're going to go ahead and flash in another Pointy Hat Witch to try to cancel her enter effect and see if we can get some action here. This does mean that if a mirror is going to come down, it's going to cost Tyler 2 will, which is kind of great for us because we still have 3 will available, and we can do a lot of work with that. Because we still have access to potential Lorites, we still have access to potential being able to use Spark of Life, as you see there, to try to destroy it. Obviously, Spark of Life is something we kind of want to be able to use on the Regalia. This is the biggest piece here. We can get that to resolve. We're just going to go ahead and stop her enter effect. Tyler says that's fine. I'm not going to burn a mirror here. This makes me think he probably has mirror in hand, so I have to be careful. We're just going to throw the Witch with the Pointy Hat under the bus. We do not need to worry about that. End of his turn, we are going to see a cast of Absorbing Knowledge. Going to try to draw 2 cards here by destroying a J-Ruler I control. Lilias Petal can't be destroyed, but can be targeted. That is the biggest piece here for Absorbing Knowledge. Same with Spark of Life. And now we can pretty comfortably just call Stone with Lilias Petal now that he's flipped. Still keep on top of it will-wise here. Guardian Dragon gets to come down here, and at this point is probably going to be bigger than, we'll be at 6 stones, so it will be just a little bit smaller than the Electra, but still pretty decent. We've got double Lorites active here. We've got another Absorbing Knowledge. We could probably potentially even drop, if we really wanted to, we could have dropped a Gardening unit there and done some pretty cool work. You see here we have a couple Lorites. We've got Absorbing Knowledge. We've got Goliath's Command is honestly very, very good. Even under a mask, it still only costs 1, and because we have Lilias Petal out, he costs something we can target. So we can put a 1/1 counter on Lilias Petal, and then put a Nine-Tailed Fox, and then put 2 1/1s on Pointy Hat Witch, and 3 1/1s on the Big Dragon. This is kind of the biggest piece there. It does some pretty cool stuff. And even under a mask, it still only costs 1 as long as we expel a wind card from our hand, which we've got plenty of cards, so we don't really mind. Calling a stone. The Electra is not going to do a bunch, but we know that we're potentially at risk of some more Pointy Hats. So we do see a hard cast of Agarian. In response to the hard cast of Agarian, we're going to go ahead and try to use Spark of Life, targeting Lilias Petal to try to pop the Electra. This is, again, trying to get that off the board before we can't cast 1-drops anymore. Seeing if this is going to resolve. It is going to bait out a Cursed Mirror from Tyler, paying the extra 1 to expel it. This is fine. It taps Tyler out. Now, Tyler does something interesting here that works to our advantage. He uses Garian to try to kill the Guardian Dragon, which we can respond to by paying 1, expelling a wind card, and doing Goliath's Command New Instructions. Ha! We put 1/+1/+1 counter on Fox, 2 on the Pointy Hat Witch, and 3 on the Guardian Dragon. And so now it's an 18/18, and so the Garian's already declared an attacker at it, and so now the Garian just dies. This does mean that Tyler can swing in for 16 with Electra, but it's not going to be enough to kill me, and then he's fully tapped out, which means my Guardian Dragon is just going to be able to fly in and beat them from there. Like I said, this deck has ways to be able to play through things like that. Guardian Dragon is immensely good. If you can get even a single Chimera down with something like Old Hand Gimmick or a Griffin, you can make Guardian Dragon very big, very quick, and so you can kind of really play through something like Mask while still getting some good value out of it. And again, something like pay to destroy at instant speed with something like that, or Pointy Hat Witch, are still very good. So Guardian Dragon swings in for the lethal, and we move into game 2. Tyler choosing to take the coin here, doing some sideboarding. We also did some sideboarding here. Things like Regalia Break are great in this matchup to be able to try to pop the mask if it does come down on turn 1. Things like that. We could probably see some potential with things like some more blue cards. That is the biggest weakness here for sure, is that even back in the Fox Mirror days, blue Fox was designed to beat basic black-green Fox, and I'm playing black-green-red Fox. So blue cards is certainly something that I have to watch out for. Things like Mirror to be able to cancel the activation of Fox. Things like you see his own Pointy Hat Witches. You see some Persephone's, Lorites. There's a Shakti in the hand. That's going to go away. Does seem like the only card that we're saving there appears to be maybe just a full grip of all 5 going to the bottom, choosing to not save anything. And we're going to just keep the Regalia Break is nice to have. We're going to hold on to that. Got a Suya as well, which is nice. And then we'll see if it goes. We're not too worried. We have a mask come down there. We're going to go ahead and cast the Suya to answer the mask on one and say, let's go. This coin for Tyler is only red. And so as such, there is no way in that hand to be able to answer it. Normally we saw before the idea of red decks just flashing in Rogue Spectator, but because of the way the new CR works, there's no way to reveal Rogue Spectator if you cheat in a mask. Tyler's hand is a lot of aggression here. You see 2 violets, you see 2 Violet and Maribellas, you see 2 falchions. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. We're gonna get to just kind of get aggressive, swing in. This would have been an excellent time if I had a second Suya to just double Curse of Ragnarok here, like pay 2, rip 2 cards out of Tyler's hands. Ripping those 2 falchions would have been insanely good. Ripping the Ray Asnable out of the hand would be insanely good. Ways to be able to make it so that once I get the ball rolling, I can kind of keep the ball rolling. We do see, looks like Tyler might consider gonna play another mask. That's gonna come down, and we're just gonna pass the turn there. Second Suya would be excellent here if we can get one. Unfortunately, do not see one, so we're just gonna swing in for 6 and then call it a day with a pass. We do have the Regalia Break available here. The idea being that we probably want to wait to see if we can get Tyler to commit to something before we stop. We kill the mask. We do see a Violet and Maribella come down. This is a very good card in the mask environment as well, mainly because will abilities are not taxed. So even under the mask, you can still float will with Violet and Maribella and carry it into future turns, which is pretty dang good. We're probably going to see a Regalia Break come down here at the beginning here just to try to cycle a little bit, as well as get that mask off the board. Tyler looks and says, maybe we burn coin here to try to answer it with Garion. It does come down. So a little bit of an unfortunate there, but we still got the coin out of the way. We do have will to be able to interact with something like an Electra that might come down next turn. We cannot possibly kill this Violet, which kind of sucks. But we do just need to get some cycling here done. Now, this move here doesn't make much sense to me. We play a Persephone to kill our own Suya just to try to draw a card. We also move that Regalia Break to the RFG. It shouldn't be there. The hand right now is not super great. It's a lot of things that I need to get Fox flipped for, and we're running a little bit behind. Though I feel a little bit comfortable here because if there is just a pay for drop Electra, we have the ability to Persephone put it back in hand. Now here's a mistake that I make. We go ahead and try to use Ray Asnable, or no, we use Ray Asnable. Persephone comes down to stop the Ray Asnable. We need enter effects, and we just really need a follow-up play here. Unfortunately, just not seeing one. Though we can Judgment Fox. This gets us live, which is very nice. We have to be able to answer something like Ray Asnable. Things that we also are playing in the sideboard for decks like this is Hellfire of the Demonic World, also a great card. Very, very helpful to be able to play through. We have a lot of responses, but I start to solarize here, and then I go, oh wait, no, that's not in the RFG. That's not how that works. Garion doesn't RFG the spell. I'm thinking of Mirror, which expels it. And so we do see this. This is a problem for me. Robo Meta is very, very strong, especially considering that Tyler will be able to get this green out very, very quickly, and still have carry through Red Will. Like if he doesn't play much here, he can just float it all as red, carry it into the following turn, recover, and then just go in for Robo Meta by tapping out while still having a bunch of Red Will available. Now comes time to Ray Asnable, and I don't really have much to answer it. I can try to Persephone here, ultimately choosing not to, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. Everything on this board state is protected from what my deck is trying to do, unless I exclusively have the Hellfire here. Now what we do is, this is a little bit of a weird sequence. We're doing this in such a way that we're actually going to build this chase a little bit better so that we're a little bit more protected from something like Mirror. We're going to do, in response to the Ray Asnable, we're going to do Spark of Life, hold priority, Persephone, targeting the Ray Asnable. This means that if the Lorite comes down here, or if there had been a Mirror or something, it would have cost 2 will. Ultimately, the Spark of Life still gets to answer the the mask, but now we have no enter effects. This is a problem. Hellfire would be insanely good right now if we could find one. Guardian Dragon's pretty good, at least to be able to put something out to be able to defend ourselves and get us into another stone. This also does set us up for being able to potentially play get into a Chimera. Something like Old Hand Gimmick is very, very good here, to be able to, at least if I don't get an enter effect, I can still ramp multiple stones. Not seeing any of my good recursion Darkness Resonators has really hurt here. That's the biggest problem. Something like Dracula, another Suya. Like, Suya doesn't do too much here because of the Rayasdable now, but it does help, at least. Dracula's the best because it just gets to keep recurring, so you can keep making Chimeras over and over and over again, which is, you know, particularly devastating when you consider something like Old Hand Gimmick. If you're playing two, you get both of them onto the field, one during your turn, one during your opponent's turn, and you can protect them. Then suddenly on your turn, you're swinging with so much stuff and ramping so many stones and clearing entire boards in such a way that's just pretty backbreaking against some matchups. Tyler has the floating one Red Will. Paying 1 red and 1, or green and 1, it seems like, to play, blue and 1, to play a Falchion, targeting the Guardian Dragon. Not super great for me here. Really need to keep that safe. It is my main blocker. We're going to go ahead and sack Killing Stone into the sequence there, so we get to drain and gain 100 life. We get to go make a Chimera and say, hey, what are we going to get to grab here? We see an Old Hand Gimmick come down here. This is to try to set me up for next turn to be able to start destroying stuff and getting more stones. It can't stop any of the Eternal stuff, but it will get very big very quickly, which is the biggest piece of what we're talking about here. And since nothing was successfully bounced back to the hand with the Falchion, we're just going to go ahead and get to prevent Tyler from being able to flip there, which is nice. Now, Tyler could do Judgment here. I'm kind of prepared for that. If we do have something like, if he taps out and I have something like Spark of Life to be able to answer the Sylvia in response to her enter effect, if I have something like the ha-ha spell to be able to give stuff barrier in response to Judgment, so he has to shoot his own stuff. Obviously, he'll just shoot something that has Eternal, but it does mean that it will tap him out, and so then suddenly I have a lot more room to play around. That being said, he's got Falchion. You don't really need room to play around if you've got Falchion and no mask active, so you can have access to activate abilities. We do have another Falchion come down here after Calling Stone. At this point, it is going to force us to pull the trigger and pay 3, most likely, because we do not want to walk into a mirror, potentially, and play that ha-ha spell to put 2 more counters on it. If I had a third thing, that would be better, but ultimately not enough. Again, Hellfire would be phenomenal here. We just truly haven't seen it. Debating if I want to try to do the expel mode or if I want to pay 3 for it. If I pay 3 for it, it's significantly more protected. Ultimately deciding, yes, I actually like the cards in my hand as well. And so we pay 3 for Goliath's Command, new instructions, haha, put the 2 counters on. We get no response from Tyler. We get to prevent Falchion from getting any more cards on. And we're at a pretty decent spot. It's not great. The Falchions are a big problem here. They can at least be destroyed by Old Hand Gimmick. That's a big piece here. We do also have... it would have been bad if I cast the haha because you see there's a Muse staring at in hand, so that also wouldn't have resolved, which would have been sucky. So glad that I paid full 3 for that. We need to answer these Falchions immediately. The pressure from the other ones isn't so bad. The Falchions will get very big very quickly, and it will be a problem. Saying that these 3 things can attack plus the Lorite goes in for 1. I say, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'm not gonna not take that damage. Swings in with the Violet and Maribella because there's no reason not to. Takes me down to 35, and then leaves Robometa and Ray Asnable intact. Here's the biggest problem, is the Ray Asnable. No enter effects is pretty bad for Fox to be playing into. We're paying 1. Casting a Suya. Don't get to steal a Force of Banish, unfortunately, because no enter effects. We are going to try to rip some cards out of hand, though, by doing 1 and casting Curse of Ragnarok from Graveyard for free. Or for 1 discounted, to try to rip the hand apart a little bit more. And Tyler just shows, I got a lot of stuff. This is a problem. All of those cards in his hand kind of suck. We're going to take the second Violet and Maribella off the board. There's already 1 Ray Asnable. The second's not going to do that much more. Now we have to try to figure out what's going on. We're going to try to move to combat. This was where I could have played this a little bit smarter. So I move into combat here, attempting to use its ability to try to destroy a Falchion. I could have instead, you see in hand, I have access to Spark of Life. I have access to the Sympathy of Fire and Wind. What I could have done here as we got started is that I could have ripped these other 2 cards out of his hand very easily by just using Sympathy of Fire and Wind before moving to combat, to try to destroy both Falchions. This forces Tyler to burn through the last 2 cards in his hand to try to protect them, in which case we respond by killing 1 by using a Spark of Life to kill it 1 at least, but then he's burned through both cards in his hand, and our old hand gimmick is just free to swing and get huge. By not doing this, I mess up here and I mis-sequence things. Tyler gets to be more protective and instead discards those cards to the Ray Asnable pump to then make it bigger than my old hand gimmick, because base stats for old hand is only 6/6, and so now it's going to be 10/10 because of the 2 counters are haha, in which case we're just out of luck. So it's going to get killed by this Ray Asnable, which frankly sucks, and we can't afford to go into a Chimera right now because we know there's a Muse staring at being cast. We're going to see that last card get pitched in response to the Sympathy of Fire and Wind hitting the second Falchion anyway, and burning Tyler for 8. We get to get old hand gimmick. Unfortunately, gets blocked by the Ray Asnable. We float a bunch of pay into Robometa, thanks to using the green access, thanks to Sylvia. And at this point in time, it's just the game. It's going to be swing out for lethal, especially knowing that the Sylvia will be able to just burn the Suya out of the way. Everything will be able to swing, and we will push through to a game 3. So at that point in time, it's just a matter of watching Tyler flip Sylvia, recognizing that there might be a slight risk here if he's like, well, I don't want to have to lose it to a Spark of Life, but even if you lose it to a Spark of Life, you still have a bunch of extra will, and so you still just kill me anyway with the lethal damage. So we just see carrying out here, flipping over Sylvia. We see the Spark of Life come down to kill her in response so he doesn't recover will. The Suya still gets burned, and then at that point Tyler is still just able to swing out for lethal with everything that's on board being as huge as it is, and we will move into game 3. Just a matter of Tyler recognizing that he has enough damage on board, what with 1,300 from the Ray Asnable, 15 from the... it does put me down to 2 life left. It's a little bit short. 13 plus 15 plus 5, 100 left. I go down to 30. I go down to exactly 100 life, and at that point in time, there's really nothing I can do that just doesn't kill me. So instead, Tyler takes the more chill route and just plays... just swings in for 15 with Robometa, and then we go, oh, you know, that's fun. Let's call Stone, and you did it last game, and it cost you the game. I'm just going to do it for fun. I'm going to play Agaria, and even though I know I'm going to lose, I'm going to try to kill this Ray Asnable and get immediately blocked thanks to that Flying Violet, and we scoop it up, and we go into game 3. So game 3 here, hoping to not have to answer to a mask early on, although Tyler is knowing that mask in his opener is very good in this matchup, as well as the blue cards. You see there's a Shakti, a mirror of, does choose to get rid of the mirror and the Shakti, leaving the Lorite, mask, and Falchion up, and has his own Guardian Dragon here. We do get to see mask come down right at the start, Callstone and a pass. We do see a Shiva get revealed on my side. I am playing Star in this deck. Now here's my first mistake in this matchup. We see the Guardian Dragon come down, and that being said, I didn't see Tyler playing Guardian Dragons in game 1 or game 2, which was my mistake, because I get greedy, play a Guardian Dragon, and then open Tyler up to being able to turn 2 Guardian Dragon. And this is where I get really serious tunnel vision and we go backwards, because I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually bad. You're going to 4 stones. This game will end in 2 seconds, because you're just going to grab, you're just going to be able to just hard cast a Sylvia next turn and I die. With what's on board. And the funny thing is that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. Tyler gets to 4 stones and then just plays another Guardian Dragon. Like, using my own strategy against me here in game 3, I got tunnel vision by the fact that I didn't get to see Guardian Dragons in game 1 or game 2 against Tyler, and so I thought it was just a safe bet, and it worked out not in my favor. Whereas you see I have Lorite in hand, I could have completely reversed this. If he had gone for the turn 2 Lorite or turn 2 Guardian Dragon and I had Lorited him, then I would have been way ahead in will, because my Guardian Dragon would have been safe to come in. I would have been up a stone plus coin plus interaction, and we could even go further beyond there. And we would be in a very, very fine spot. So just a little bit of unfortunate tunnel visioning here. We go for an Academy Cities gardening unit to just at least try to catch up will-wise, while being able to potentially answer another Electra should it come down. Down comes the Robometa. We're going to float into will. He does try to make the Robometa bigger here. Technically he couldn't, because the activate ability of Robometa would cost 1 more. It doesn't super matter here. We do have access to trying to stop an Electra if we can help it, although if there is another Lorite in Tyler's hand, we're kind of screwed. This is just a really good example of the green package still being very, very dominant here. We're going to go ahead and pitch a Persephone, which we couldn't have done because of the mask. We have a Lorite in hand to put it back in hand, and Tyler just goes, yeah, we're just going to swing in with these Guardian Dragons and take you down very, very quickly. Not a great start for me, not a good spot. We can throw down a Shiva, like we can just hard cast a Shiva to get this body off the board gone. Doesn't answer the Robometa, unfortunately. Does answer both Guardian Dragons and leaves me a little bit behind will-wise to be able to try to play through any further Electras, though you see I have double Pointy Hat Witch, which is nice to be able to at least get stuff done. And we can start to put some pressure in with things like the gardening unit now being a 9/9, Lorite being a 6/7. Like, we can start getting aggressive, but the Robometa is going to be able to lock at least one of them, which was why we also just kind of pass. Tyler calling stone here, taking vaporization, so taking another 3. And now we see Tyler pivot to the blue. So we saw the early game from Tyler very much pivoted, starting with the red stuff, or the green stuff, to fuel the red stuff. And now that we've gotten to the mid to late game, Tyler is saying, okay, now we can play blue cards, and that's going to be something that really puts us on the back foot. We do have a couple things that have precision, which is very helpful, something to keep in mind. Ray Asnimal's going to come down here. We don't have a way to interact with that, which is a little unfortunate, at least not right now. We do have several things that have precision, like we have Shiva, who has precision, and we can trade the gardening unit into it to have precision. It's just a matter of being able to protect it. If we can make that happen, though, if Tyler is smart here, he will play either a Ray Asnimal, or sorry, not a Falchion. It won't really help too much without burning his own cards, because we're just going to try to throw like Replicant Shiva at it or something like that. But he does do the smart thing here and plays another Eternal blocker. Again, my life for a Hellfire of the Demonic World, it would be so good right now. It would literally solve this whole problem and turn this whole game around. Before recovery, we are going to get that Regalia out of the way with Regalia Break. This is primarily because we do want to potentially set ourselves up to make some Chimeras if we can get this Ray Asnimal off the board. My life, again, for a Hellfire of the Demonic World. Down comes Lilias Petal. Have access to Forbidden Knowledge now. We're going to try to throw the Shiva at the replicant, at the Ray Asnable. Violet Maribel is going to block it, which is unfortunate. We're going to throw the gardening unit at the Ray Asnable. That Robomate is going to block that. Fortunately, both of those things just have Eternal. So again, Hellfire here would clear this entire board and be pretty safe. We see a Dracula come down. Dracula will be able to turn at least something into another blocker. We're going to try to swing in with 6 for the Lorite. Gives ourselves 2 flying blockers by trying to go into a Chimera here. We can get Griffin out, which won't get to ramp us stones, but we have 4 stones to be able to interact, and then at least Dracula will come back at the end of the turn to be able to protect us with 2 flying blockers. We'll still have access to Seal 4, so we still have our Pointy Hat Witches. Like, we'll be able to do... the biggest problem there is the Pointy Hat Witches, again, die to Ray Asnable. They don't get enter effects, and I kind of pigeonhole that, like, don't really think about that when I go for this play line. Really just showcases how blue is the bane of Lilias Petal's existence. So it's just a favorable matchup here for Tyler, curved with the fact of just truly not hitting my Hellfires. Hellfires would be excellent here. Like, there's a world where it would have been correct for me to try to... Like, it's correct for me to try to draw into a Hellfire here, especially when he tries to go in for something like an Electra. You see I have access to double absorbing knowledge. I have access to double Pointy Hat Witch. Like, somewhere in here's got to be something, right, is the hope. We see a Falchion Shooting Star of Water come down here. That's going to get bounced back to my hand, which is really unfortunate. Gets rid of one of my flying blockers. And we don't have a way to sack it to Killing Stone to stop him from gaining life, which is really unfortunate. So what we're going to do is respond here with a Forbidden Absorbing Knowledge to try to draw into 2 cards. Hoping to see a Hellfire. We do see a Suya and a Persephone. Persephone doesn't really help here. Persephone will help if there's a follow-up from a... if there's a follow-up of an Electra, right, to be able to stop it. You start to go look for the enter effect to try to stop it with Pointy Hat Witch, and then we go, oh wait, we don't have enter effects. There's a Ray Asnable on the field. Again, if I had drawn into a Hellfire here, I would in such good shape. Hellfire would have been able to come down, clear this entire board, and except for the Falchion, we could use Pointy Hat Witch to stop the Falchion. If he goes for a Persephone, we Pointy Hat Witch that one. If he goes for the second Falchion, we go for another Pointy Hat Witch, and then we're off to the races starting next turn, doing another Absorbing Knowledge, seeing if we can draw into something. But unfortunately, just a little bit too late here, drawing off the second Absorbing Knowledge, seeing what we might see, ultimately looking at it and saying, nope, there's nothing we got here. You got it. That is the game. So a little bit of pigeonholing from not seeing the green in games 1 or 2, but a fun match nonetheless. Cool to see these cards come back and put on the gloves again. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment sections down below. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying, class dismissed.